We have 7 centers across the United States. And as we grow towards our goal of 50, we have been featuring the stories of our 7 executive directors. And today we are going to be featuring the story of Megan Plum from Guiding Star Wakota. We are so excited to share her story of resilience and all the things that she has navigated in her beautiful 10,000 square foot center. That is what is coming up today on the Fearless Future podcast by the Guiding Star Project.
Welcome to the Fearless Future podcast, where your hosts Lisa Canning and Leah Jacobson will explore what the world would look like if women didn't fear pregnancy. Through education, community, and healthcare solutions, Guiding Star Project strives to make this a reality at our physical centers across the United States. Join us.
Just before we bring on Megan, very quick personal note from me. This is now our 14th episode of the Fearless Future podcast, and we're just so grateful for every download, for every comment, for all of your participation. If you know someone who would appreciate the conversations that we are having, our ponderings, our questions about what it would look like if women did not fear pregnancy, what this looks like in terms of community, education, and healthcare solutions, would you share this podcast with them? And then don't forget, we have a beautiful Guiding Star Academy, which is a completely free way for you to connect with myself, Lisa Canning, as well as Leah Jacobson, the founder and CEO of the Guiding Star Project, and an entire online portal of free resources, free trainings. We have some great stuff there about how to talk to your daughter about her first period. We have some great fertility awareness 101. Just a bunch of things that can help you to start your journey if this is all brand new to you. This was fairly brand new to me as well. When I came into this role as president, I certainly understood. I have 10 children, so I have some knowledge about my fertility, but this space of advocating for women's health and for explaining to others what it looks like to navigate your fertility naturally, to not fear pregnancy, to feel empowered around your fertility. Talking to people about this was not exactly something that was super in my wheelhouse. And so perhaps you're like me, where you're confident about your own fertility, but you don't know how to talk about it to other people. If you're like me, if perhaps you're at the beginning of that journey, I'm now a year in my journey of being a true advocate for a change in culture. And that's what we're really trying to do here with this podcast, with our centers across the United States. We are trying to create change in culture. And so if this is you too, if you want to grow in your ability to talk to others about what it looks like to navigate your fertility naturally, what it looks like to be an advocate for your own health and to say, my body is good, to explain to your daughters that their body is good, that their fertility is good, I want to invite you to join us in the Guiding Star Academy, completely free resource. We're going to be starting up our monthly community calls, which happen on the first Wednesday of every month. Go to wherever you are watching or listening to this. There is a link down below where you can join us. I am delighted. I've been looking forward. I've been having so much fun with all these conversations, but I've been really looking forward to this one. Megan Plum is the executive director at Guiding Star Wakota. Guiding Star Wakota is a 10,000 square foot facility, and it's a very special place to me because a few years ago, I was actually brought on by Leah. Before my relationship with her turned into what it is now, I was brought in actually to do some interior design consulting for the Guiding Star Project. And much of what I ended up putting into a interior design brand guide was put into place at Guiding Star Wakota. So welcome to the Fearless Future podcast, Megan Plum. How are you today, Megan?
I'm good, Lisa. How are you?
I am caffeinated. I am caffeinated.
I'm almost there. I'm working on it.
Oh my goodness. Megan, for anyone who might not know you, please introduce yourself.
That's a hard question. That's a hard statement. I'm Megan Plum. I'm the executive director at Guiding Star Wakota in West St. Paul, Minnesota. And we are almost 50 years old, which is just fantastic. We've been here for a long, long time. I am the mother of 6 children, ages 10 to 21, 5 boys and 1 girl. So I'm busy, lots of football right now, but I stayed at home for 13 years and then kind of started dabbling back in the workforce here. But yeah, I'm local. I'm from around here. I went to the local grade school here and high school, and didn't go too far from home. So
I love it. When I first met you, which was just over a year ago, I met you in real life. And I was like, she does not have a 21-year-old. Like I still, when I look at you, like when I'm looking at you right now, I'm like, no, that's not like, there's no way that is actually.
I do.
It's incredible. So you know how to juggle a lot of things, and there's many parts of your story that I want to dig into. But let's start with how you personally came to Guiding Star. How did that happen?
So let's see. This is when I had 1 child, my 21-year-old now. So it's been 21 years since I was introduced to Wakota. My father-in-law was the Grand Knight for the Knights of Columbus. So he was the one who would help put on this tiny little spaghetti dinner for a fundraiser for what was the Wakota Life Care Center. So I started attending that every year, and my aunt happened to be a volunteer counselor here as well. So back in the day, everybody was a volunteer except for the executive director. So she got me connected with the executive director back then, Pat Foley, who was here for 30 years. And I went through the training and started as a volunteer counselor myself. So I did that for, I think I only lasted about a year because I kept having babies. So I didn't have a lot of volunteer hours available. But I knew I always wanted to get back here. And I would get a call from Pat every once in a while saying, "Are you ready to come back?" And I'd say, "No, I'm pregnant again." So it took a while, but I got a phone call. I want to say, what was it? Was it 2020? It was during COVID. So almost 5 years ago now, I got a phone call from a board member here that I did not know. And she said, I found you through the Catholic School Center of Excellence. And that's who I was working for at the time. I was contracting, doing their events and some fundraising for them. And she got my information from them, and she said, "We heard you know how to do virtual events," which it was COVID. Everybody had these big galas planned and had to very quickly flip them into virtual events. And nobody had done virtual events before. It was new. Um, I had done one, and so I said, sure, why not? Because I love a good challenge. So that's how I got reintroduced to Wakota. So I started doing some contract work here for events and fundraising. So did that for 3 years, and then was offered this position, and I
Amazing.
took it.
Amazing. And you were going to get into some of the interesting challenges that you've navigated since becoming executive director. But for anyone who might not know the history of Guiding Star Wakota, so when did Wakota, which was a pregnancy resource center, what was it called again? Remind me the name.
Wakota Life Care Center.
When did it become a Guiding Star Center?
I believe that was 2016. Right in there. Yeah, around 2016, the executive director at the time, there's only been 4 of us. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I'm the 5th executive director. So the second executive director at the time saw Leah speak somewhere and was so moved by what her ambition behind wanting to change the culture around women's healthcare in general. And it seemed like a good fit for what we were doing with supporting pregnant women who were in need. And so that relationship began, and I think we were the first affiliate. Am I correct in saying that?
I think, well, there's some debate. There's some
Yeah.
debate around who was exactly the first, because there's been it's a fun story. One day we'll have to do the actual,
Okay.
because I think there's a few people who who can say
Name
that
her first.
so anyway, but you have been with the organization. Guiding Star Wakota has been with the organization for a very long time. And as I shared off the top of this podcast, I think that's what has attracted so many centers. So we pulled this stat recently. Since 2020, I want to say, since 2020, or it might have been 2021, we've had 60 requests,
Wow.
new guiding stars. And so I think that the common thread is someone has heard Leah, and that vision that she casts is just such a spark.
Yeah.
And so I know that was very much a part here at the Wakota story. Now, it's fascinating because you, as I mentioned, a 10,000 square foot facility.
Yeah.
You're the largest center. It is so beautiful. Like when I visited last year, I just was like, oh my gosh, it's mid-century modern little touches. It is so bright and spacious, tons of natural light. Tell us a little bit about, if you can, the story of the brand new building. How did that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was here, which was, like I said, about 20 years ago, it was a very tiny, I don't even know how many square feet it was, but we couldn't store anything. So very, very minimal material assistance. So we were doing pregnancy testing, STI testing, some vaccinations. I know a doctor would come in once a month to do vaccinations and STI testing. And we'd hand out diapers, and women could get clothes for their kids. But what we would do is bring one bin out for them to look through, and to see the space that we have now is just unbelievable. So it was this very, very tiny building. The board knew for a long time that we needed more space. The number of clients kept growing. The need was definitely here. The demographic in the area we're located there's a lot of need here. Our client numbers are just through the roof right now. So a capital campaign began, and I think it took 4 years, I think, to raise the money to build this building. So they actually tore that building down. I remember these conversations about where is it going to be located. But this is such the perfect location for this type of service. So they ended up tearing this building down, moving temporarily across the street to the strip mall while this was built, and waited anxiously for this to open up. So I was involved at the time. Yep, it's just incredible. I was involved at the time while it was being built. And Lisa, you did an absolute tremendous job on the interior design. And I know Adriana Burke and Deb Safi, who's a board member, had a lot to do with it as well. So I'm the one who gets to be the spoiled one and walk in here to work every day. So
it really is just like, I wish everybody could come, and it's almost like, it's like spa-like.
it feels like it is.
So bright, it's so peaceful. It's a gorgeous space. All right.
And that's part of what draws the clients in here is the ambiance, the environment. It's so warm, it's so inviting, it's so beautiful and bright with all the windows. So I know the clients enjoy it.
One of our core tenets at Guiding Star is community, right? And you don't need a fancy space to create community. Absolutely not. But it is helpful when you have spaces that are conducive to building community. So what are some examples of that? Like enough seating, right? There's so many comfy little seating areas. You've got little fireplace, cozy corners. And then spaces where children are welcome. I think
Yeah.
that's one thing that your center does so well. We have such wide open hallways for strollers. There's a beautiful, bright space for the child watch. Lots of glass, so there's
Yeah.
in a safe way. I mean, but like meaning you can, you can peek into a child who's in the child watch.
Yeah.
Lots of accessibility that comes with big windows. So it's just so nice, and your materials like the ability to have it almost feel like a boutique. It's set up so beautifully with things on hangers and on shelves. Things are merchandised. Like it's a beautiful environment. So to have a space that can facilitate community, I think is just very, very helpful. And that's what you've got there. So you've had such an adventure in your short time as executive director. Let's talk about what happened in the last, I want to say it was within the last 2 years, right? You had a massive funding source
Yep.
from the state of Minnesota that disappeared practically overnight. Is that a fair way to capture
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. We were getting a grant, a beautiful grant called the Positive Alternatives Grant, and it was for pregnancy resource centers, organizations that were trying to help women and families who were choosing to parent. So the complete opposite of what, the rest of this state, the direction that they're headed right now, where abortion is a badge of honor around here. It's pretty scary. So, yeah, a lot of resource centers were getting a portion of this grant. We were getting the most out of any other organization. Some charter schools were getting it as well. We were getting $350,000 a year from the state for this grant. The beautiful thing about it was we could serve that many more clients, right? We could purchase that many more new strollers and car seats for our Learn and Earn program. We could hire more staff to do life coaching and work with our Hispanic clientele. So we could hire bilingual staff as well. So it kind of grew really quickly with getting that grant. It was a 5-year grant, $350,000 a year. And 2.5 years into it, our governor, who is now Kamala Harris's running mate for vice president, decided he was going to pull that funding out from under us halfway into it. So we had been planning on and budgeting around another 2.5 years of that amount of money coming in. And it got pulled. And I will say it was an absolute blessing in disguise because it gave us some incredible opportunities that never would have happened if that money kept coming in. So as hard as that was, as difficult as that was to cut the staff in half, to cut the budget in half, we were given a gift. We were absolutely given a gift to hit the reset button and to shrink back down because it had grown so fast, right? And that can be great, but that comes with a lot of challenges as well. So I still think it was a gift. It was definitely supposed to happen, but very unfortunate. It sent a lot of us scrambling and panicked, to be honest.
So tell us more about that, because we have many people who listen to this podcast who work in nonprofit or, are our fellow, sisters in arms in this kind of work, right? On the front lines of helping women, serving women. And so I'm sure there are people listening who are like, that is so stressful.
Yeah.
And so to hear you describe it as a gift is so intriguing. So tell me more about why you consider it a gift, and what did you do when you talk about coming back to basics and a reset? How did you do that? What were your first steps to reset?
So I will say that the moment I knew it was a gift was when I was asked to take this position, knowing that cut had just happened, and I was completely at peace about it. I knew God's hand was in this. I can't tell you how many people said you are crazy for taking that job. nobody, it was. And I just felt, okay, this is what he's asking me to do right now. Clearly he's got a plan, and a big one. And I need to do what he's asking me to do. So long story short, the executive director that was in this position at the time of the loss of the funds was here temporarily. So they knew he was going to phase out. Um, it happened much faster because all of a sudden we couldn't cover payroll. So it happened much faster. He stepped away. And so there was kind of this gap for, I want to say, maybe 2 months where the board really had to step in and kind of run things. And they were the ones having to make the really hard decisions on which staff to cut, which staff hours to reduce. I know that was an incredibly difficult position to be put in. They did a great job with it. It was heartbreaking, but they had to do it. We had to keep our doors open, and for a while, it didn't look like we were going to be able to keep the doors open. The beautiful thing is that this building was paid for. Peter J. King was a huge contributor to building this facility. But there was so much up in the air. What does the next year look like if we even have that much time? So I think the first thing I did when I got in here was just start asking questions, because I have no fear in asking questions, and I have no fear in finding people and surrounding myself with those people who are really good at what they do, especially in areas that I'm weak in or don't have the background in, and to try and learn from them. So I think it was a lot of question asking, a lot of digging through documents, a lot of surrounding myself with people who knew what they were doing, a lot of reaching out to people that I knew from my past work and saying, what would you do in this situation? What would you do? And just listening, right? And one foot in front of the other. And I started, I think, with just, I got hired and I had to lay off 2 more staff members right away. That was the first thing I had to do. I can't say I've ever let anybody go before, and that was hard. The morale around here, I would say, was not in a good place at all. I mean, this is like a family here, and that family, it was like a divorce was going on, right? It was heartbreaking. And so it was I had to start, I think, with rebuilding the morale with the staff, along with the board. There was a lot of animosity and turmoil and distrust of what was going on. So starting there, so I knew that I had the buy-in of those around me that I was working with, whether I'm supervising them or managing them, or I'm reporting to them as I do with the board of directors. So starting to kind of heal relationships, ask questions, make sure I've got the right people here, right, that are still willing to work nonstop to keep the doors open and do it with a smile on their face, and they keep showing up every day. So that's when you know you have the right staff.
Oh my word, there's so many things to unpack there.
Yeah.
I want to start with, what was the most helpful question in that season when you first came in? You had to fire 2 people. So 2 questions. What was the most helpful question in that season? And what was the least helpful question?
Question to who? Questions I was asking?
Questions you were asking that led you to where you are now, which is lots of success.
I think one of the most important questions I asked was, I went back to those who had been involved with Wakota for many, many, many years, and started understanding the history of it and who built this organization, who's been involved with it for a really long time, and started telling the story to those people. right? And helping them, giving them the opportunity to have a piece in this, to help me move this organization forward. Um, that's a tough question, Lisa. I'm not answering it directly. I guess.
I think what you're articulating is, or at least what I'm really hearing, that I find it just very inspiring, is there's a relent of self-reliance and a we're going to fix this together, which I
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
in the nonprofit space is just so vital.
Yeah.
We need to, because often nonprofits are operating on limited budgets. But even if you aren't, and that's the thing that I think is very interesting about you and what you've experienced in the last couple of years, even if you have all this money, to instill that sense of culture. And why are we showing up every day? Like, why are we showing up every day? What are we doing for the women that we're serving? Like, why do we exist as an organization? I think that's what you were able to do, and again, it's a huge testament to your leadership abilities, to your humility, to your ability to ask the right questions. So I just think it's very, very fascinating. What was not helpful? I'm just curious. This is like a personal.
Yep. No.
What was
That's a great question.
what did not produce good fruits? So like,
Okay, so I'm asking people, what would you do, right? Who are the original founders, right? How do we rebuild this as a community? Because we're serving the community, right? This is not my organization. This belongs to the community. I think at the same time, I had a lot of people coming to me telling me what to do, right? With a lot of people had their own ideas, their own agendas, their own way they wanted to see things go. And so I had to spend a lot of time reflecting on all of these different ideas and desires coming at me. That was really difficult. And trusting that I was making the right decisions, right? I'm not one to sit and ponder for a long time. I've kind of trust my gut and keep things moving forward, right? We make decisions. We got to keep moving forward. Those things gave me pause. There were some really difficult conversations in there. So important to listen to everybody, but not everybody's going to get what they're asking for or what they want. And that's okay. And being okay with that was hard.
Dealing with uncomfortable emotions or just uncomfortable circumstances, I think is just the faster anyone, doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're the head of an organization or if you're a mom with a toddler, like, to be able to navigate that space of discomfort is
Yeah.
it's going to be, it's going to be a lot.
There's a lot of discomfort, right? Everybody was uncomfortable. Everybody involved was. I would say they were nervous. There was a lot of tension. There was a lot of, there was panic, right? I mean, I think the attitude I had, which I think helped kind of keep people, at least the staff, I think the board too, was that look what we get to do, right? We get to do this. This is an honor to be able to serve these families. I know how hard it is to raise kids, right? I was at home for 13 years with 6 kids in 10 years. On a single income. That is not easy. It is super stressful, right? So many diapers and formula and food and dirty house. And I sit back and think, man, these women are choosing to keep these babies, and we get the honor of walking alongside them and teaching them and nurturing them and loving them. Look what we get to do, right? So this isn't everybody panic. It's let's just keep serving these women and families that walk through our doors. Let's stay focused on that, because that's the most important thing right now.
It strikes me that it would require a lot of faith in
Yeah.
order to keep walking, but maybe not know that, you're going to have enough money to make payroll, or you're
Right.
going to you have a massive building that I don't even want to think about what your electricity bill
Yeah.
is.
Me either.
So, how did you personally, Megan? I'm really curious. Like, how did you personally walk by faith and not by sight? Like, how did you keep going?
Another thing that I surround myself with is prayer warriors, right? And I am not afraid to ask people to pray. And we have very faithful staff and a very faithful board. And the amount of prayers they were pouring into this, I know I had a lot of people praying for me, knowing I was in a really difficult position. It was faith, right? And my favorite part of this building is the fact that there's a chapel here. And one of the first things I did, because I knew it had been done before in another location, and I knew everybody always kind of wanted this to happen here. But one of the first things I did was start working with the Archdiocese in getting the Eucharist in our chapel. There was another life care center in Highland, just in St. Paul here, right next to a Planned Parenthood. They got the Eucharist in there, and that Planned Parenthood shut down. It closed. So it's a testament to the power of faith, the power of the body of Christ, the power of prayer. And I just knew that that's where it all had to come from. This is God's doing. I know he put me in this position. I don't know why. I don't know what decisions I'm going to have to make the next day. But I just need to show up. We all just keep showing up, and remaining faithful. And look what he's done, right? This isn't me. This is God. This is the Holy Spirit. This is the prayers being answered. This is just getting the right direction and being open to that, which I'm not always good at.
All right. This is so personal. So you answer this however you want.
Sure.
When we're doing this work, and it requires a lot of courage, like whatever it is, you might be listening to this conversation at home, and whatever it is that you have to have some courage to show up for. Again, maybe it's a bunch of babies and diapers, or maybe it's you also are navigating hard things in your work. I'm curious if there are people who are thinking like, oh gosh, like this sounds exhausting. Like, this is too much. I'm tapping out. This is way too much hard work. What do you do to, fill your cup? And answer this as deep as you want to, or as like lighthearted as you want to. Like, and maybe give us a little bit of each. Like, what are some of the things that you do personally to fill your cup?
Okay, that's a couple things. One, right? Prayer, right? And remembering to keep God first in my life, right? He's got to be number one. If I get out of order, I see it, right? I can feel it. I know I'm not giving my time and these decisions to God, and I'm trying to do this on my own. I would say the one thing that really truly fills me up is being with my kids. Right? I mean, that is just, they're a part of me. They are such a gift to me. There's a lot of them, and they're loud and they break things, but they mean everything to me. So being with my kids, being with God, trying to get sleep. I'm the worst sleeper ever, so that doesn't help either. But and surrounding myself with good people. The staff here is incredible. We lift each other up. We pray for each other. We're with each other every day. We know what's going on in each other's lives. And I could not do this at all without the staff that's here right now. So surrounding myself with good people, trying to just love other people, right? Filling myself up with the gifts in my life that God has given me, my kids, my parents, my siblings, my friends.
What is your favorite way to spend time with your children? I'm so curious. You're a little ahead of me on the motherhood journey, where you can you can go to a bar with your oldest child, Megan.
Yes. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but yeah, right. I look at him, I'm like, oh, you're supposed to be 9 still, right? But I know they grow up so fast. My favorite thing is when I get them all together at once. It's so hard. I've got 2 off in college. When I have them all together at once, my heart explodes, right? As hard as it is to be, I am divorced, as hard as it is to be a single parent, um, just, I don't know, they're a gift. They fill my heart. They flood it.
Mm.
Got it. They really do. And that's why I do this work, right? The family is so important. And the fight right now in this world, physically and spiritually, is the battle against the family. And it's heartbreaking. And there's a lot of divorce. There's a lot of infidelity. There's a lot of addiction. There's so many things that are ripping the family apart. And if there's anything I can do in this life to help it make a little bit easier for a family to ease that stress a little bit so that they in turn can enjoy the gift of their child, um, then I will do it, right? I think filling my cup can change from day to day too, right? Sometimes I need to sleep, sometimes I need to eat, sometimes I need to walk, sometimes, right? It's staying in tune with, okay, what do I need? And then being smart enough to stop what I'm doing and go do that so I don't burn out.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I love what you just said about anything you can do to help make another mom's family life a little bit easier. So let's talk about some of the ways that you do that at Wakota. What
Yeah.
are some of the services that you provide that help lighten the load on moms?
One of the things that really kind of lights my fire here is we get this funding pulled. And so there was a lot of attention on centers like ours. I want to get away from the language of pregnancy resource center or crisis pregnancy center, right? We are a family support center. That's the way I look at this. This is not just pregnancy. This is not just ultrasounds. There is so much more to this. And I think my history, my experience in parenting so many children, I kind of have an understanding of, well, what would work, what would have been a gift to me, right, when I was raising kids. One is education, right? If I learned more, if I knew more, I would make better choices. I'd be a better mom, but I feel like there's so much I don't know. And that's one of the things we do here. We teach. We have a learn and earn program where parents can come in and take classes from us, even on the fundamentals, the budgeting, nutrition, parenting 101, those things that they will never learn about, right? And so that's a huge opportunity for us to expose them even to some of those things. And they can come and take as many classes as they want for as long as they want. Back to the attention being on these sorts of centers was they had the wrong message. They had the wrong story. They didn't know who we were. I don't think they want to know who we are and what we do, because the message is, you trick a woman into keeping her baby, throw her a pack of diapers and a blanket and say good luck. And that makes me sick to my stomach because it's so far from the truth. Women tend to walk with us on an average between 18 months and 3 years from having their baby. And that's where I say we get to do this, right? We get to watch these women choose life. And then we get to help her through that transition. A lot of these women have a lot of kids. And so to just see the relief of them coming in here, knowing that can you imagine what you have no money and what 20 diapers can do, right? I mean, or camp formula.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got, and I remember when I was in there, you've got fresh bread was delivered that women could, take advantage of. And then when you add the Guiding Star curriculum to this whole piece,
Yes,
we're journeying with women from, like 3 years and beyond, right? Like from as when a woman is understanding her cycle, even backing it up to age 9, where a young girl can understand her cycle. And then we're journeying at our centers with women all the way to perimenopause and beyond,
Yes.
like helping women to understand all the changes. But again, that her fertility is a good,
Right. Right.
that a person
Absolutely.
is an accomplishment, and
Yeah.
so, and it's an interesting, we have this beautiful graphic of the spectrum of women's healthcare, and these pregnancy resource centers are a very, very valuable piece of it, but it's just one piece.
Right. It's the beginning.
We need to be with women for the entire, length of their health, right? And so that's what we are so passionate about. This is Leah's passion, this revolutionizing women's healthcare, so that we are with them through that.
Right.
Okay. I'm sure you have so many stories, but does a favorite story come to mind of a mom that you were able to help recently?
Yeah. Yes, I'm constantly, I feel a little separated from the staff because I'm upstairs and the party's going on downstairs, so to say. I love hearing the kids screaming and running around downstairs. A lot of them will come running past my office. And I think, how would you even get up here? Let's go find your mom. And I love it though. I love it. So, Leah, I totally forgot your question. Sorry.
No, you're totally fine. To be honest, I have a picture of a cute little child coming.
Right. I got distracted.
I was talking about do you have a fun story?
Story. Yeah. I have 3 I'd like to tell, to be honest. There's a woman that comes in here every year and brings candy and flowers and a card to our staff.
Oh.
She's been doing it for 30 years. Because 30 years ago, Wakota helped her make the choice to keep her baby.
Wow.
And on his birthday every year, she comes in to say thank you.
Oh, wow.
And I would love to sit down with her. I've never met her. I keep missing her when she comes in somehow. And I actually have her card hanging behind me. Because she wrote, just God bless you for saving lives. So those stories are so just like, okay, let's keep going, right? Who knows? That's the thing. You do this work and you never know, right? You do the pregnancy testing or you educate the women and they walk out and sometimes they don't come back and you don't know what the end result was. And I'll tell you a story about that in a minute. But a couple months, maybe 2 months ago, we got a call from the county. So this is the interesting thing. We get referrals from the county all the time, but we get no funding from them. But that's okay. That's okay. I'm okay with that. The more women we can serve, the better. We got a call from the county that there was a woman who was homeless who had just delivered quintuplets, 5 babies. And they were calling us to see if we could help her, which is just incredible. I had just had a donor call and donate $5,000 for our material assistance program. So I was able to turn around and write this story to this donor saying, we were just able to give a homeless woman 5 car seats, 5 layettes, which is a huge bundle of clothing and diapers and pacifiers and, a baby starter kit. Tons of diapers, right? Just get her everything she needed to get started. And that's just what an honor to be able to do that. It's, I think one that happens 13 times a year in the world. Quintuplets are born. And the fact that we got asked to help one of them was incredible. Another story, I was downstairs, this was maybe a year ago, and a woman walked in. She was looking for a double stroller. She had just had triplets. And she said, she was telling me, we were all excited for her, right? Like, that's incredible. What a gift. And she was telling us that her doctor kept telling her that she needed to choose which ones to abort, that you need to abort at least one, if not two of them, for the sake of saving one of them, because they're not all going to make it. And the anger that she felt at him, it was an unplanned pregnancy. The father wasn't involved, but the fact that she had the medical world telling her she had to abort one of her babies knowingly and pick one was just heartbreaking. And we were able to help her get the stroller that she needed. We didn't have it, but what we were able to do was post something on Facebook and saying, hey, we have a client in here with triplets. She needs a double stroller, and somebody brought one in, which was great. So I think I just told 3 stories there, but back to what you were saying, Lisa, this whole the partnership with Guiding Star Project. We've been doing the pregnancy support downstairs will never stop. The material assistance, the pregnancy testing, the family support. We have a fatherhood program, right? The relationship building to help stabilize these families as best as we can. But then we've got this other piece, and I'm so excited to start these curriculum in our building that you guys just rolled out, because that's a whole nother piece of this. And it's such an important aspect of women's health in general. So the intro to womanhood, like you were talking about, the intro to manhood, that's just as important. The lactation stuff, the birth classes, all of it's so important, right? And I like to be kind of a one-stop shop for women. We can offer them multiple things. It's not just material assistance, or we have a mom support group, but it goes so far beyond that. We can do mental health care now. We have 3 mental health care providers in our building. We are waiting, and I know you're aware because you helped design it. We have a whole medical floor up here, and it's empty, unfortunately. It's brand new. We are still looking for a mission-aligned partner to come in here and be able to provide life-affirming healthcare for the whole family, right? Women, kids, fathers. So that will happen. I know that it will. I don't know when, but it will. But that's a missing link where we can pull all this together now. We got the medical side, we've got the material assistance and resource side, and we've got the education piece with your curriculum, Guiding Star Project. We're working with some outside people as well to bring in outside education too. So I'm very excited to get those classes rolling, though. Very excited.
And this was always Leah's vision. You know, it's interesting when we talk about buy-in, right? This was always Leah's vision, and our centers are bought into this. It's wraparound. It is really wraparound. It's like, okay, great. You need a car seat. Here you go. We're also going to educate you on what your fertility is. You know, like this is what's happening every single month.
Right.
Gosh, Megan, I could talk to you all day, honestly, but I just want to actually pause for 1 second, because we have a national audience here. And so I just want to make a very forward appeal. If you are a mission-aligned provider, meaning you understand that anything that suppresses or alters a woman's natural functions is not healthcare, and you are looking for a space to provide life-affirming care, will you please contact Megan? Her website is below wherever you might be listening or watching this. And if you might know someone who is looking for this space, this is a beautiful facility in the Twin Cities where there are people already walking in every single day. There are people walking in. Please contact Megan, because we would love to fill that space and, again, provide this type of healthcare to women that I really do believe will. It's not a matter of like if it will change the culture.
Right.
it will change the culture. The more women that can understand that your body is created good and you don't need a pill, you don't need any type of radical, alterations to your body. It is created good. The way that the Lord created your body and your fertility
Right.
is good. It is an accomplishment to get pregnant.
God doesn't make mistakes.
The more people understand this, I really do believe it will change culture. Megan, I have one final question for you.
Yes.
And it's a little open-ended, but I've loved the insight and the wisdom that you have shared. And I'm going to read this. This is from Jay Papasan, who wrote The One Thing, right?
Who wrote what? The One Thing?
Wrote a book called The One Thing.
Okay.
And so I want you to answer this however you want, but we have been talking obviously in the context of Guiding Star and what it looks like to create this culture where women don't fear pregnancy. So here's the question.
Okay.
What is the one thing I can do today such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? I'll read it one more time.
Okay.
What is the one thing I can do today such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary?
I think it's not something that I would do tangibly. It is going to be my interior disposition. If I can go through today with gratitude and joy and openness and positivity and in a problem solving frame of mind rather than what's the problem, just you know what I mean, dwelling on the problems rather than dwelling on the solution. If I can be solution focused positively, that will make a lot of things unnecessary, I think. And it affects the people around you too, right? It'll make a difference for my kids. It will make a difference for the staff.
Yeah. So good. Megan, is there anything else you wanted to share that you didn't have a chance to say today?
First of all, thank you for having me on. Thank you for what you guys do. The gift of having another group of executive directors who are mission aligned. We're doing similar things. I know we're a little bit of an outlier for you guys, but to get that support, to get that wisdom, to get that connection is priceless for me. That's been a big part of me being able to be successful at what I'm doing. And I think you've been outstanding, Lisa. Leah's been incredible. The other executive directors have been great. So thank you. You guys are on fire for this, and I love it. And I love the mission. And I'm really looking forward to getting all of the Guiding Star side of things up and running here, because that's a missing piece. The other piece is this whole, thank you for making that plea for medical provider to come in here. It is such a critical piece, and the space is turnkey, and it's absolutely beautiful. And God will bring the right person in. But if anybody does, no, I mean, I'm looking, if you want to relocate from somewhere, I think it would be worth it. I think it would be worth it. So thank you for sharing my information and that.
Absolutely. Where can people go to learn more about Guiding Star Wakota?
So you can email me if you want directly. My email is Megan, MEGAN at Wakota, WAKOTA.org. I'm happy to answer any questions for you. Our website is guidingstarwakota.org. Lots of information on there. You can read about all the services that we provide, our history, and contact us, any events that we're doing. So Lisa, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You inspire me. You have more kids than I do. Look, you're doing exactly what I'm doing, but on even a grander scale, Lisa. You're the president of Guiding Star Project, and you have 10 children. So
You give me hope. I'm like, okay, I'll go to a bar with one of my kids. Like,
You will. It'll happen.
but I inspire when it's appropriate. Everybody, I can hear the people being like, "What did she just say?" When it's appropriate, when they're legal, you inspire me greatly. Also, I really mean that. What you have, what you've done, just is such a testament to your resilience and to your leadership, to your interpersonal skills. It's hard work we do here, but it is very, very worth it. And so
Absolutely.
thank you for everything that you do as well. Everybody, thank you for listening. We have, I think just two more. We've got 2 more in this series of interviewing all of our executive directors. And so stay tuned next week for another incredible story. Megan Plum, thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Lisa.